Hi, welcome to the part 4 of CAT3DESIGN tiller tutorial. Now that we have set up the axis and the buttons of your tiller, it is time to have some fun. We are at the gate 96 at Kansai Airport, Osaka, Japan. This is a power out bay, meaning there's no pushing back out of the bay. Instead, you'll be applying forward thrust and making a hard turn to the right to exit the apron. There are quite a few places in the world that require similar operations, as this sort of apron arrangement brings cost savings for the airlines. Of course, as often the case, cost savings don't come without some challenges. The initial turn requires almost a full 75-degree steering angle in order to keep the nose wheel on or inside of the taxi center line, which means in case of Airbus A320, the outer wheel on the nose gear is completely off the ground, as you see here. Which of course means less traction, especially on a wet surface. A careful speed control is required to prevent the aircraft from skidding outwards, endangering equipment and personnel in the vicinity. Another challenge is the wind. The fin of the aircraft is great when you're flying. It keeps the aircraft straight along the relative airflow, but on the ground, in trying to do so, it can either assist with your turn or go against it. It is therefore important for you to take into account the wind direction and velocity prior to commencing taxi to avoid the embarrassment of being stuck halfway through the turn and not being able to move further forward due to the weathercocking effect, pulling the nose to the undesired direction. So, going too fast, you might make the nose wheel skid, and going too slow, and you might get stuck and cannot move further, even without an opposing wind, due to the highly steered nose gear acting as wheel chocks. Also to note is the fact that once the pivot point of the aircraft moves towards inboard of the turnwise engine, any thrust on that engine is virtually not doing anything apart from opposing your effort at turning the nose. So an asymmetric thrust is an SOP under these very unique circumstances. Taxiing out of these tight spots will test your ability to balance thrust, ground speed and tiller angle, all the while being mindful of the environment that surrounds you. Too high a thrust in an apron is never a good thing. So let's try this out. A 25 knots wind is blowing from our left side and the surface is wet. You have been cleared to taxi and the ground crew are all clear. A wing walker is keeping an eye on your outboard wing clearance. Okay, so to commence our taxi, we need to check the left side and right side of the aircraft for any obstructions. Yep, looks good. And the lights, so we need to turn on the runway turn-off light and also taxi light. Okay, so we're clear to taxi, so I'm going to release the parking brake while I press brakes on my rudder pedals. I'm going to raise both N1 to about 25%, about there, and then we'll release the brakes and the aircraft starts moving, and I will gradually, smoothly apply 75 degrees turn in the tiller. And if the aircraft struggles to keep on moving, you apply a little bit more thrust, but never more than 30 or 35% N1. Keep the aircraft going. From about here, you can start relieving the tiller angle. And we made it. Okay, we'll carry out the brake check to make sure you can feel the deceleration. And our clearance is to make a left-hand turn here, and then we'll take first right and first left. Unlike the 737, the A320 tiller or nose wheel steering system is completely fly-by-wire, which means there's a little bit of a delay when you turn the tiller. So anticipate that delay, and you're bound to be a smooth operator. Okay, I'm just going to make a full stop here. Okay. Park brake is set.